Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on the Winter Solstice Ornament cover. And this ornament cover is made using the Winter Solstice Ornament Cover beading kit, which is a collaboration I did with Eureka Crystal Beads recently. If you have your kit, grab your kit and we will go ahead and start this ornament cover. I will also link all the beads separately in the description box below the video. So if you would like to order the beads individually, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to clear this off and we're going to get a materials list going.
Let's get our materials list going. So of course, if you have your kit, grab your kit because you have everything you need in the kit, of course, except the ornament to make this. So here we go. We got a 3x2 millimeter rondelle, 4 millimeter bicone, a SuperDuos and a color, 3 millimeter bicone. I've got a 4 millimeter round bead here. I've got some Ginko beads. I've got a SuperDuos in a metallic, so it's a matte metallic. I've got 6 of the 8 millimeter Chatons. I've got this beautiful drop bead, and here's your ornament that you're going to use. I've got a Miyuki 11.0 and a Miyuki 15.0. We've got 6-pound fire line, and I've got a needle case filled with all different size needles. You probably use a 11 or a 10 or 11 needle for the entire project, and there's a little stop bead right there. Okay, so I'm going to clear this off and we're going to get started. So don't forget to look in the description box for all sizes, colors, shapes, amounts, beads, places to purchase, etc. I will put a link to the kit as well. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 4 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and leave about a 15-16 inch tail because we're going to use that tail to make the little bezel for the stone. So I picked up and dropped down to my stop bead a SuperDuos and an 11.0, and I did that 4 times. So just like so. Sew these into a circle by just sewing through the first bead after my stop bead, which is the SuperDuos, and then I'm just going to continue all the way around. So you just want to reinforce this by just sewing through all the beads again. And you want to come past where your tail thread and your stop bead are. Just keep going around. I'm going to go around a little bit more just to sort of lock this into place. So I'm just going to go a little bit more until I exit the bottom hole of SuperDuos. I'll move my thumb right now. So this is what it looks like. And now you're just going to sew through the top hole of the SuperDuos. You're exiting. This is where we are so far. We're exiting the top hole of a SuperDuos, the red SuperDuos. So I'm going to pick up an 11.0, a gold SuperDuos, a red SuperDuos, a gold SuperDuos, and an 11.0. So here's your sequence. Exiting here, just going to sew through the top hole of the next SuperDuos. Just going to pop that into place, and I'll move my thumb in a second. This is what it's going to look like. Do that again. So I've picked up an 11.0, a gold, red, and gold SuperDuos, and an 11.0. Exiting the top hole of this red one, I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next one. That's what it looks like. You can do that 2 more times. Okay, I'm on my last 11.0, gold, red, gold SuperDuos, 11.0. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through this one, the 11.0, the next SuperDuos. So I want to just make sure that's in place. And then I'm just going to come around a little bit. So I'm just going to keep sewing through the beads. So the SuperDuos, the 11.0s. Just to sort of lock it into place again. Here. A little bit more. I'm going to exit this, eventually this gold one right here. And a little pull. That's what it looks like. Exiting the bottom hole, I'm going to sew through the top hole. Oops, I got a little twisted here. There we go. That's what it looks like. Let's add some beads on, so I'm going to pick up my gold SuperDuos. I'm going to sew through the next one. I'm going to pick up another gold one. So for the next SuperDuos, then I'm going to pick up a 15.0, my bicone, and my 15.0. So that's a 3 millimeter bicone. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through the next SuperDuos,
like that. Repeat that. SuperDuo to the next SuperDuo. SuperDuo. The next SuperDuo. So I'm always using the gold, or if you're doing the blue one, you're going to just do your silver. So I'm just saying gold, but the metallic one is going to be like so. And then the 15-0 3mm bicone 15-0 through this one. So I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. Coming down to my last 15-0 3mm bicone 15-0, I'm going to sew through this SuperDuo, the top hole of the next SuperDuo, the bottom hole of the next one, and then the top hole of this one, and then the bottom hole of the next one. So again, I want to sort of lock this round into place. So I'm going around a little bit. I'm going to sew through these. This group of beads, I want to come out over here. So I'm just going to keep going around, and you can just sew these one at a time. You can do, a few at a time, however your needle goes in. Like so. A few more till I'm exiting the bottom hole of SuperDuo right there. And then I'm going to sew through the top hole of that SuperDuo. That's what I have so far. Next up, I'm going to pick up my gold or my metallic SuperDuo, sewing through the next SuperDuo. So that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to sew through the bottom hole of that SuperDuo, the top hole of the center one, and then the bottom hole of the next one. So kind of doing a little circle there to lock that into place. And we're going to move on to this next group. So I'm just going to go through the SuperDuo 15-0. Ouch. Bicone 15-0, and then through the next two SuperDuos like so, the next one and the following one, just like that. And so you're exiting the bottom hole, you're going to sew through the top hole. And that's all just to get that point SuperDuo on there. So then we're just going to pick up the SuperDuo and sew through the next SuperDuo. And then you're just going to continue that all the way around. So you're coming around, so you can just, rewind and, get to the next one, put your SuperDuo in, get to the next one, put your SuperDuo on. I'm going to add my last point SuperDuo. So right here. That's what it looks like. So I'm exiting, so I just put this last SuperDuo, the point. So I'm just going to sew through, so I'm coming into the top hole, I'm going to sew through the bottom hole of this gold one, through this one, through the next one. I'm going to sew through, I'm coming around again, so through here, this one, the top hole of this one, the bottom hole of this one, just the bottom hole of that one, and then through the top hole. So this is just going to set us up to put more beads on. So, just put that thread aside and we're going to work on the bezel. Taking off my stop bead and I've threaded a needle, and you'll be exiting one of these interior beads. I'm exiting this 11-0. I'm just going to move my needle through the next SuperDuo. Like so. So the bottom hole of that next one, and then you want to come through the top hole. So you want to be exiting the top hole of one of those interior SuperDuos. And if you're a little loose in here, I'm nice and snug, you can just go around a couple of times and then, through these beads and then come out of the top hole of the SuperDuo. It doesn't really matter which one you're coming out of. So just like that. Okay, so we're exiting the top hole of one of these interior SuperDuos. You're going to pick up 7 15-0s. And you're going to sew through the top hole of that next interior SuperDuo. So just working with those 4. So just like that. Do that again. 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, one more. 7. Exiting, exiting this one. Just going to sew through top hole the next one. So you see how that's going to put these 7 SuperDuos here. So do that 2 more times. Coming down to my last 7 15-0s. I'm going to sew through this one. So that's the original one I started with. Like that. Now I have all the 15-0s for my bezel. And I'm exiting the top hole of this SuperDuo. I'm going to sew up through the first 4 15-0s that I put on. So just like that. That's what it looks like. I'm going to pick up 4 15-0s and I'm exiting bead number 4 here. So I came through these 4. I'm just going to sew through bead number 4 of that next group of 7. So just like that. And do that again. 4 15-0s. Exiting bead number 4 here. I'm going to just count bead up to bead 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Going through bead number 4 of that next group of 7. This is what it looks like. You can do that 2 more times. You can pop your stone in at any time, so you can just leave it. And it's, you know, it's not going to stay, but just do that 2 more times, and then we'll do a lot of reinforcing. To my last 4, and I'm just going to sew through bead number 4. So that's the original bead number 4 that I started with to close this. And when I pull, you know, it could pop out, not a big deal. You just want to pull so that the beads come in front and lay on the stone, just like that. And then you're just going to just reinforce all the way around. You can do it a couple of times till it's nice and snug. So I've come all the way around a couple times. It's nice and secure. So you're exiting one of these. You're going to exit one of these corner beads. So you see how the 3 here, and here's that, you know, that little connection bead in the center there, right there. So you're exiting here. I'm going to sew through these 3 15-0s right down on the side. So just like that. And then kind of get in there and sew through that SuperDuo, the color SuperDuo right there. Your needle will just automatically kind of go there. You see, like that. So you just want to get to the back now. So here you go. And now I'm on the back, and I'm exiting the top hole of a SuperDuo. I'm just going to sew through the bottom hole like that. And then you could just reinforce. You can just, you know, sew around and put some 1/2-inch knots here, and you can get rid of that. Okay, now we're going to do this little top area right here. So you'll be exiting one of the points of your unit. So I'm going to pick up my metallic SuperDuo. I'm just going to drop that down. So just like this, I'm going to hold it so that it's facing like so. So just like that. And I'm going to sew through the top hole of that same bead I put on. And I'm just going to pull down a little bit so that it sits up against that's what I have so far. So next up, I'm going to pick up the color. So I'm picking up my red one and the metallic. I'm just going to drop them down to the mat and show you how to situate them so you can sew through very easily. So I'm just going to pop that color over like that, and I'm going to pop the gold one or the metallic down like that. So you're essentially sewing through the bottom hole of the color and the top hole of the metallic. And then see what I'm going to do right here? I'm going to put it on like that. I'm going to sew through the bottom hole of that metallic bead, so the gold one right there, and the top hole of the next one. So like that. This is what that looks like. I'm coming out of that top bead there, and I'm just going to advance my needle through the bottom hole of the next gold one, just like that, through the top hole of this gold one, the color, bottom hole of the color, and the top hole of this gold one on this side with the metallic on that side. Like so far. So we're exiting this gold bead. I'm just going to pick up another gold bead. I'm going to drop that down, so the gold or the metallic SuperDuo, so it's the bottom hole is going to correspond to the top hole of this one. So just like that. It's going to have a nice space in there. And just going to sew through the top hole of that bead. Hold it with your thumb and then give it a pull. And when you give it a pull, see what that looks like? I have a little space there. Looks like so far I'm going to pick up my metallic and sew through the red or the color. See that? Just like that. So far we have that the thread is coming out of the red or the color, I'm going to pick up two of the metallic SuperDuos. I'm just going to sew through the bottom hole of the first one like that. So I've come through the bottom hole, and then I'm going to situate this one so I'm coming out of the top hole of this one. So the bottom hole of the first one, right there in the top hole of this one. And then I'm just going to sew through the bottom hole of the one I'm exiting and through the top hole of this gold one on my little unit here. So you see my thread path there? Just like that. I pull. That's what it looks like. Just going to advance my needle through the color and the gold top hole of the metallic right there. So just right straight on through. And then through the bottom hole of this one, I just want to get up to the top. The top hole, that one, just coming across again, the bottom hole of the gold one and the top hole of the red one. The bottom hole of this one, and the same, right through the top hole of that same one I'm exiting, and then pick up your last SuperDuo and sew through the next SuperDuo. And that's going to put on your little connection piece. This is ready to go when I need them. So we're going to start our initial ring. So we're going to thread your needle with about 6 feet of thread, put on a stop bead. I left about a 12-inch tail because depending on the top of your ornament, like look at this one, look how big this is here, and this one's sort of a smaller one. I think the fit is fine on either one. It's a little closer with this one. But if, let's say, you're even a smaller top or you want to fill in here, you have an opportunity if you leave a little bit of thread to fill in over there. Okay, let's get started. Pick it up and drop down to my stop bead. A 4mm, the 4mm round metallic ball, so you have a silver or gold one, a rondelle, the gold ball or silver ball, and 2 SuperDuos. I just did that 6 times. So I have 6 groups of 4mm, rondelle 4mm, and 2 SuperDuos. Okay, I'm going to sew these into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead. So that's the round ball, just like so. And then you want to reinforce this by coming around all the beads again. Reinforced all the way around, and I want you to exit one of the SuperDuos. So you want to exit the top hole of the SuperDuo here that's next to the other SuperDuo. So we're exiting the top hole right here. So we've come around. Just sew through the bottom hole of that same SuperDuo. So this is where you want your thread coming out, just like that. Up 5 of my 11-Os, and here's one of my units. I'm just going to sew through that top hole of that unit right there through that SuperDuo. Put my thread through. This is what I have so far. Get everything out for you. There we go, just like that. And I'm going to pick up 5 11-Os, and I'm going to sew through. So I'm exiting the top hole here of this SuperDuo. I'm just going to sew through the bottom hole of that other one that's on my ring. Like that. That's what it looks like. Okay, so I've switched to a darker matte because I thought it would be easier to see at this point. So I'm exiting this SuperDuo. I'm going to pick up a rondelle, a Ginko bead, an 11-O, a rondelle, and an 11-O. Okay, I'm going to sew through the other side of the Ginko bead. Like that. Just going to place those beads like so. Let me straighten this out a little bit. Trying to do this on the mat. There we go. And then I'm going to pick up another rondelle, and I'm going to sew through this SuperDuo right here. That's what it looks like. And now we're just going to repeat what we did. So you're exiting this SuperDuo. You're going to pick up 5 11-Os, sew through that the top SuperDuo of another unit, and then 5 11-Os,
through the next Super Duo on the ring. Just like that. Just move that a little bit. And then you're going to pick up your rondelle, your Ginko bead, pop those down, and then an 11-0 rondelle 11-0 through the other side of the Ginko. Like that. And then you're going to pick up your next rondelle and you're going to sew through the next Super Duo. Like that. So let me get that straightened out. So it looks like. So that you're going to keep attaching in this manner all the way around to have all 6 of your components on and 6 of the Ginko bead sequence, and then come back and we'll continue. Finishing up the sequence here, so here my last unit is on. I've come through here this Super Duo, so I put on my rondelle, my Ginko bead, 11-0, rondelle 11-0 through the Ginko, other side of the Ginko. Here's my last rondelle. I'm going to sew through this Super Duo right here. And now I have all my units on and all my Ginko beads on. This is what it looks like so far. Okay, let's move on. So we are exiting. So we have all our units on. Everything's looking great. We're exiting this Super Duo. Now I just want you to sew down through the next 5 11-0s. That's my little kitty. He wants to come in. So just like that. So this is where we are so far. Okay, so you're exiting those first 5 11-0s we put on. You're going to pick up 3 11-0s and you're going to sew through this Super Duo right here. So like this, the top hole, the bottom hole of the middle one, and the top hole of the next one. So just like that. We just pull it through and then I'll show you what it looks like. So just like that. Then you're going to pick up 3 11-0s and you're going to sew through the next 5 11-0s like that. So just like that. Work our way around to this next group of 5 11-0s and we're going to do the same thing. Embellish around, you know, add those 3 seed beads on either side. So come through you're exiting here, you're going to sew through the Super Duo and the rondelle. And your thread might get caught on everything, which is pretty par for the course when you make these. So through those, I've gone through the Super Duo, the rondelle, and you're just going to sew through all the beads again. And it's a good thing because, you know, it reinforces everything as well. So you have a couple of threads through everything now. So I'm just coming through all the beads. And I'm keeping it on the mat as long as I can. Once we start connecting, you know, in the middle, it's going to curve, so I won't be able to keep it on the mat at that point. But I'm just going to keep going around, sewing through the beads. Like so. Then through the Ginko bead and the rondelle, just making my way to this next group of 11-0s. So here I'm going to come through the Super Duo. Like that. And then down this group of 5 11-0s. So just like that. 11-0s.
I'm going to sew through the top hole of this SuperDuo, the bottom hole of the next one, and the top hole of the following one. So just like that. And then you're going to take 3 11-ohs and you're going to sew through. There's a little bit of construction going on here at the moment. 3 11-ohs through these next 5 and out through the SuperDuo like so. And you're just going to repeat those steps all the way around until they all look like this. I'm coming down to my last 3 11-ohs. So, you know, I came through here and I'm going to sew through my last 5 11-ohs, just like that. And then I'm going to sew through the SuperDuo. So just like that. I'm just going to put my needle aside for a second. So I'm going to look at everything. And you want to kind of like give it a little pull so it's straight. Maybe you want to, you know, just make sure your tension is good. You know, you don't want it too tight. You don't want it too loose. You just want to make sure that it's sitting really nicely. So this is what it looks like. It looks great. Now at this point, you don't have that much thread left, and we're going to end this thread. So just sew through your Ginko beads, you know, just put a few half hitch knots wherever you can fit them, and then we'll start a new thread to continue. Thread now. So I've already done it, and I'll show you how I did it. So you thread your needle with about, again, 6 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, leave enough of a tail to sew in. So here's my stop bead here. So I started through the top of a SuperDuo. Here, let me pull it super tight. There we go, that's better. So I've started here. Doesn't matter which, you know, which leg or unit you start with. Just pick one and then come through this way around. So the top hole through the bottom hole, and then right through that line of beads that we put on. So you'd be exiting, see there's my stop bead is? You'll be exiting that line of beads right there. So again, I just came through the SuperDuo and the top hole, I came through the bottom hole, and then I just brought my thread right down through that whole group of 11-ohs on the side right there. So I've picked up, so I'm exiting, you know, that whole group of seed beads right there. I've picked up 2 11-ohs and a rondelle, and I did that until I had 5 rondelles on, and with 5 groups of 2 11-ohs in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. I'm going to take that sequence of beads and I'm going to sew through that point SuperDuo on the next component. So that's going to put this on just like that, and I'm going to keep it on the mat as long as I can, because once it starts to curve a bit, I'll just have to pick it up and have to do it either on the ornament, and the same for you when you're making it, or in your hands. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. So I'm going to pick up one of my rondelles, 2 11-ohs, a rondelle, 2 11-ohs, and a rondelle. So I have 3 rondelles with the 2 groups of 2 11-ohs in between. And I'm going to sew through the SuperDuo on this unit. Let's pull that through like that. I'm going to pick up a rondelle and 2 11-ohs, and I'm going to sew through the rondelle right here. So let me just get my needle in and then you'll see. So this one right here. Let's pull that through. That's what it looks like so far. Now I'm going to pick up 2 11-ohs, a rondelle, 2 11-ohs, a rondelle, 2 11-ohs, a rondelle, and 2 11-ohs. So I have 4 groups of 2 11-ohs with the 3 rondelles in between. And I'm going to sew up through this whole group of beads
you know, the 11-Os on this side right here. Can't get them all at once, just do a few at a time. So just like that. Just going to keep on going through my seed beads here. So here, so through all those seed beads, through this SuperDuo, so the bottom hole, through the top hole of that SuperDuo, the next SuperDuo, top hole of the next SuperDuo. You might have to bend it over a little bit to get it in. So like that. Through the bottom hole of that SuperDuo. So we're working our way down to that group of 11-Os again. And then down. That whole group of 11-Os. Repeat the sequence. So you're exiting, you know, this group here of 11-Os. You're going to put on your 2 11-Os, your rondelle, 2 11-Os rondelle, 2 11-Os rondelle, 2 11-Os rondelle, 2 11-Os, and a rondelle. So we've got 5 rondelles with 5 groups of 2 11-Os in between. You're going to sew through this one on this unit, just like that. Okay, next up we're going to pick up a rondelle, 2 11-Os, a rondelle, 2 11-Os, and a rondelle. So 3 rondelles with 2 groups of 2 11-Os in between. And we're going to sew through the SuperDuo on this side, like that. We're going to pick up a rondelle and 2 11-Os here. And you're exiting here. So rondelle, 2 11-Os. And you're going to sew through this rondelle right here. That's what it looks like. Now we're going to pick up that sequence of 2 11-Os a rondelle, 2 11-Os a rondelle, 2 11-Os a rondelle, and 2 11-Os. So 3 rondelles and 4 groups of 2 11-Os. Just like that. And we're going to sew through all the beads on this side. So just, you know, just attach it by sewing through a couple of them. And notice how it's going to start to bump up a little bit. So just like that. Then we're just going to continue on. Poking myself a lot today. Through all these beads. Just like that. Through the SuperDuo. The top hole of that SuperDuo. Through the next SuperDuo. My needle was fighting me a little bit, but it went in. Through the bottom hole of that SuperDuo. And then down the next group of 11-Os. So just like that. And here when I lay it out, this is what it looks like so far. So you have that, oops, sorry, you got that sort of pattern going there. So you're just going to continue in this manner all the way around, adding all your rondelles and all your 11-Os and connecting each unit. Now, a lot of times these units will flip over. Make sure before you connect that it's, you know, sitting nicely, just like that. All right, so have fun, keep going around and get it all done and come back and we'll continue. Just thought I'd give you a look at how it's going so far. So here, this is what it looks like on the ornament. So just like the others, it's looking great. So I'm just gonna keep going around until I get this round completed and then we'll continue. Finishing up the embellishment here, so I've, you know, come around and I'm ready to sew through. I have my beads on, I'm ready to sew through this one. And you're just doing the exact same thing as I did before, just to finish it off. So sewing through those 11 O's right there in the SuperDuo. And here I'll pop it on the ornament real quick, just to give you a look. This is what it looks like. Pretty, right? It's looking good. So all you're going to do at this point, so you know you've got everybody connected, you're just going to sew this thread in and sew your tail thread in, because I just don't want to keep using the same thread. You don't have that much left anyway, so that works out great. Pull out a little bit. So this is what it looks like so far. Okay, so sew those threads in and come back and we're almost done. You know, we'll get to this end. Let's move on. So thread your needle with about 6 feet of thread, put on a stop bead and leave an extra long tail just in case you use that tail. So I've just sewn right through this bead right here, this rondelle of this group here in between the two units. So right there. So I've just sewn through and there's my stop bead holding on there. And then I picked up, and I'll pull in a little for this, 2 11 O's, a rondelle, 2 11 O's, a rondelle, 2 11 O's, a rondelle, and 2 11 O's. So I have 3 rondelles with 4 groups of 2 11 O's in between. And then I picked up a gold SuperDuo, or your metallic, your color, and a metallic. Well, actually, it's working better on the mat. So here is my gold SuperDuo, my color, and my metallic. So it's the end of that string here of rondelles and 11 O's. So notice how I've situated them. I've put the gold one, so I'm coming through the bottom, and then the top one is going to match up to this one right here. And then the color is down, so the bottom hole is open. And then this one, I just moved them, you know, flipped them over. This one is also coming through the bottom with the top here. So what I'm going to do is exit. So I've come around here, through here. I'm exiting right here. I'm going to sew through the top hole of that one, the bottom of that point one, and then, let me see if I can get it all at once, and then I'll move my finger, the top hole of this one. So you see, you just want to put them on just like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to just pull my thread through. And do you see how that, you want to pull it so that there's no thread showing. So just like that, I'll get a little closer. So we're exiting the top hole of this SuperDuo right here. And don't worry, we're gonna do more. So we're exiting the top hole here. So stay with me. I'm gonna sew through the bottom hole of that gold one and then the top hole of the color. So we're gonna do a little loop-de-loops around here again. Like that. Then we're gonna pick up 2 11 O's. I'm gonna sew through the bottom hole of the red one, or your color. Gonna pick up 2 11 O's. I'm gonna sew through, and you want to make sure this, you don't want any thread showing, so just be careful. You know, if the thread starts to show, just like make sure you can pull it. Okay, so 2 more 11 O's through just the top hole of the red one with the color. Like that. You want to make sure that sits on the side like that. So we're exiting right there. You're going to sew through these 2 11 O's that you put on, the first 2 you put on. Give it that little snug pull, and if you need to, well, also, you know, right here, your tail thread is here too, so, you know, you can always pull with that. So just like that. So you're exiting these 2 11 O's. Okay, so we're exiting these 2 11 O's on the side of that SuperDuo, that color, and then I'm going to pick up 10 11 O's, one of my 4mm gold balls, a 4mm bicone, one of the 4mm gold balls, my drop, and 3/11-ohs. Okay, I'm going to just skip the drop, the 3/11-ohs. I'm going to come through the drop, the 4mm ball, bicone ball. Get my needle through there, like that. I'm going to give that a little pull. Make sure you get a little picot at the bottom like that. And then I'm going to pick up 10 more of my 11-ohs. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And count them because you don't want to miss. 4, 8, 10. I did miss one little seed bead, but it's you can't tell, but just count. Just be sure you count to make sure you're not going to miss anything. And you're going to sew up through the 2 seed beads on this side of that SuperDuo. Just like that. So I'm exiting, I've come through these 2 seed beads on the side. I'm going to come through this, the color SuperDuo, and then the bottom hole of that gold one, or your metallic. Just get that through. So when I pull and kind of straighten the beads out, this is what it looks like. This is what I have so far. I'm going to pick up that same sequence I started with, so 2 11-ohs, rondelle, 2 11-ohs, rondelle, 2 11-ohs, rondelle, and 2 11-ohs. So 3 rondelles with 4 groups of 2 11-ohs, like so. And I'm going to sew through the rondelle in that next little group there. This is what it looks like. So that's going to be the next sequence all the way around. So just get to this point and come back and we'll continue. Let's do that again. So I've picked up, so I'm exiting this rondelle right there. So I put on my 2 11-ohs, rondelle, 2 11-ohs, rondelle, 2 11-ohs, rondelle, 2 11-ohs. So here I have the 3 rondelles with the 4 groups of 2 11-ohs in between, and then my gold SuperDuo or metallic SuperDuo, color and metallic. You want to situate them like so, so you can just kind of fit it in like that. Just move up a little bit, and then you're going to sew through the top hole of this one, the bottom hole of the next one, and the top hole of that first one, just like that. Just like so. I'm going to sew through the bottom hole of the gold one and just the top hole of the color, the metallic and the color. Yeah, you got it. There we go, just like that. So I'm exiting the color. 2 11-ohs, and I'm going to sew through the bottom hole. I'm going to pick up 2 11-ohs. I'm going to sew back through the top hole of that SuperDuo, making sure that I don't have too much, any thread showing, no gaps. Okay, and then down, so I'm exiting the red, the top hole of the color. I'm just going to go sew down through the first 2 11-ohs. I'll move my finger in a second, just like that. So you'll be exiting right there. Here's the next sequence, just like before, 10 11-ohs, the gold ball, 4mm bicone, gold ball, my crystal drop, and 3 11-ohs. I'm going to skip the 3 11-ohs and sew through the drop, the gold balls, and the bicone. Like so. Make sure that you get a little picot at the bottom of that drop. So we're exiting the gold ball. You're going to pick up 10 of your 11-Os, just like before. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to sew through the 2 11-Os on the other side of that SuperDuo. So just like that. Then I'm going to sew through the top hole of that color SuperDuo and see if I can get it right through the bottom hole of the metallic on the other side. You got it. So we're just repeating what we did, and that's where I'm exiting. So now you have, here, let me hold it up. Here, I'll put it on the ornament so you can see where we are. Okay, so back off a little bit. So this is what it looks like. Here you've got the drops right here, 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 and here. You're just going to do the same thing from here to here to here. You're going to do your whole little drop thing, and you're going to do that all the way around. And then we'll have one more round to do, and then we'll be done. All right, so get that done, come back, and we will continue. Note, if you want to work on this on your mat, you can pop it down so that all the Chaton units are sitting flat, and then the center is sort of bumped up, like kind of like a big skirt. And that way you can work along if you want to work flat on the mat, or you can just put it on the ornament, or just hold it in your hand, whatever works out best for you. All right, so get the rest of those done, come back, and we will continue. Okay, I'm coming down to the end, so I put my last drop on, exiting that SuperDuo. So I put my sequence on, the 2 11-Os, rondelle, 2 11-Os, rondelle, 2 11-Os, rondelle, 2 11-Os. And then I'm just going to sew through that original bead I started from, because that's where my stop bead is coming out. Like so. Don't want to get caught. There we go. So now you have that entire round on. So this is what it's going to look like. It's hard for me to hold it on the side, but it looks really pretty. So you're just going to sew both these threads in, because we're going to do one more round, but I'm going to add a thread to put that last round on. Okay, so get that done, come back, and we'll put on our last round. Okay, so let's get started on our very last round. This is so exciting. So thread your needle again. You're going to need about 6 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, a little extra tail. So I'm holding my ornament cover like this. So here are my 2 Chaton units. Here's, we're in between here. I'm just going to sew through this rondelle right here. So you have 3 here. I'm sewing through this one, the middle one, just like that. Just bring your stop bead all the way down, just like that. So I'm exiting. I've come up through this rondelle right here. So, that group of 3, exiting here, I'm going to pick up 2 11-Os, a rondelle, 2 11-Os, a rondelle, 3 11-Os, a 4mm bicone, one of my gold balls, my drop, and 3 11-Os. I'm going to skip the 3 11-Os, and I'm going to sew through the drop, the gold ball, the bicone, and 1 11-O. So just like that. So I'm exiting the 11-O above the bicone. I'm going to pick up 2 11-Os, and I'm going to sew through this rondelle. Like that. Let me pull that down. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to pick up 2 11-Os, a rondelle, and 2 11-Os. And I'm going to sew through, that middle rondelle, that next group. So
right here, like so. And that's what it's going to look like. So let me pick it up so you see it's going to make sort of that diamond shape. I put it on the ornament and you can see, so I've, here's my sequence. I came through here and you see it makes that kind of diamond shape. And then you're just going to advance to the next space. Let me straighten my thread out. So I'm trying to do this on the ornament. I'm going to sew through. I'm exiting the rondelle. I'm going to sew through that next group. Rondelle, 2 11-0s, rondelle, 2 11-0s. I'm going to go right through the bottom hole of that super duo. Like that. So you see that's what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to sew through the top hole of this super duo and the bottom hole of the next one. It's kind of hard for me to do it on the ornament. Okay, there we go. So the top hole of this one. I'm just moving over till I get to that next rondelle. So then the bottom hole of this one. And then up through these 2 11-0s rondelle, 11-0s, and then out this rondelle. So that's center rondelle again. And now I'm set up to put that sequence on again. So when I kind of pull that into place like so, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, let's add that sequence on again. So we're exiting, that middle rondelle. We're going to add 2 11-0s of rondelle, 2 11-0s of rondelle, 3 11-0s, 4mm bicone, the 4mm ball, my drop. I know this is going to fall over. And 3 11-0s. I'm going to skip the 3 11-0s. I'm going to sew through the drop like that. And then the ball, the bicone, and 1 11-0. Like that. So I'm just going back up like we did before. Then a little pull. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to pick up my 2 11-0s. So I'm exiting this 11-0, so picking up my 2 11-0s. Sewing through the rondelle. Like that. Make sure those sit next to each other. And then I'm going to pick up my 2 11-0s, rondelle, 2 11-0s. And I'm going to sew through this rondelle right here. Get the sequence on again. And then I'm just going to move my needle through this group of beads. So the 2 11-0s, the rondelle, 2 11-0s, that super duo right there. Bottom hole of the gold one, top hole of the red one. The bottom hole of the gold one. And then through the 2 11-0s, rondelle, 2 11-0s, and out the middle of those 3 rondelles. So out that rondelle, like so. And so this is what it's looking like. So far it's hard for me to, because my camera shoots straight down for you to see it, dangling, but it's really pretty. And now you're just going to repeat that sequence all the way around and sew your threads in, and then we'll be done. So get all of that done and then come back and I'll try to set it up so we can look at it straight on. Okay.
Okay, so have fun. See you in a bit.
Okay, we're back and we're done. And I just love the way it came out. I think it's so, so pretty. I don't know which color I like best. I think they're all really beautiful. I had so much fun designing this for you. I couldn't wait to share it with you. So I'll put everything in the description box below the video, a link to the kit should you want to purchase the kit. I'll put a list of all the beads and amounts, everything that you need. Again, I want to thank you so much for being here with me, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.